You get to know all your actors, and different actors want different kinds of direction. So I think that's the thing that you have to learn as a director. But when we're at work, you know? It requires so much of you.
Zoe Kravitz once believed she had already graduated from Hollywood's School of Heartbreak. She'd watched her rock godfather and sitcom legend Mother part ways with almost mystical calm, so she figured she'd earned a lifetime pass from family drama. Then Jason Momoa walked through the door, 6'4" of surfer charm, tribal tattoos, and eyes that could convince a thunderstorm to take a day off. At first, he seemed like the final puzzle piece in her mother Lisa Bonet's bohemian universe. Their house smelled of patchouli and ocean salt. Dinner conversations flipped effortlessly from astrology to Marvel contracts.
And I kept on missing it before the end of the Zoom happened. And I'd be like, oh my God, I missed it, I'm so sorry. And then we'd start again, and I'd miss it again, and that was the whole dream. Over and over again, all night.
From the outside, the family looked bulletproof. Hawaiian sunsets, guitar-strumming campfires, and a blended crew that even Lenny Kravitz, the ex-husband, happily joined. Yet, while Instagram cheered, Zoe began noticing tiny fractures, hurried phone calls that ended in strained silence, birthday candles blown out over FaceTime, and the unsettling realization that her mother's glow dimmed a little more each time Jason boarded another flight.
I remember this one dream I had like a million times. It was always a zoom shot, so I'd be looking at something, and then it would zoom in slowly, and in the dream, I knew that I was supposed to cue something.
What Zoe witnessed over the next 3 years would rewrite her personal dictionary for love, loyalty, and the hidden tax of fame. Zoe's childhood was a split screen, backstage chaos with Lenny, incense-lit calm with Lisa. She learned early that contradictions can coexist, so when her 17-year-old self opened the front door in 2005 to meet Momoa, towering frame, infectious laugh, pockets full of seashells, she didn't flinch.
Well, my mom used to do this really embarrassing thing when I was a kid, where we'd be leaving a grocery store or something, and we'd be in the parking lot, and she would start singing The Sound of Music.
He felt instantly familiar, like a cousin she hadn't yet met. Momoa wasn't a replacement dad. He was a new planet orbiting her family's eccentric solar system. Lisa, who'd sworn off Hollywood's hamster wheel years earlier, suddenly had a partner who craved both red carpet adrenaline and midnight drum circles. Zoe watched their chemistry crackle across dinner tables and wondered if opposites really do attract, or if they eventually ignite. Early red flags fluttered, but no one named them.
And then I didn't smoke weed for a bit, and then when I was 15 or 16, I think it was probably 15, my mom confronted me and said, I know you've been smoking weed.
Jason's hunger for blockbuster fame thrummed beneath every conversation. Lisa preferred moonlit poetry readings and backyard tomato gardens. Zoe, fluent in duality, convinced herself that the differences balanced each other out. After all, her own life was proof that two wildly different parents could still raise a functioning human. She just hoped this new equation would resolve itself the same way. By 2012, the family's vacation photos were trending.
And so I think doing one thing and one thing only doesn't feel like I'm growing and learning. So yeah, I like to stretch my legs.
There were sun-kissed group selfies in New Zealand, candid shots of Jason braiding Lola's hair, and even a viral clip where Lenny called Momoa his brother from another volcano. The internet swooned, brands sent free surfboards, magazines pitched reality show deals, but calendars told a different story. Game of Thrones shoots bled into Aquaman reshoots, leaving Lisa to juggle school runs for Lola and Nakoa Wolf, while fielding reporters' questions about a husband half a world away. Zoe became the unofficial glue, organizing bedtime FaceTime calls, recording birthday messages, and promising her siblings that dad would be home soon.
Try and get yourself as much time as possible. You'll never have enough time. And also try and stay creative in a crisis, because everything will go wrong. And the more that you lean into it and surrender to it and try and find creative solutions, the better it will be.
The smiles in those photos were genuine. The strain behind them was too. Zoe remembers one summer barbecue when Jason arrived straight from an overnight flight. He hugged everyone, flipped burgers, and laughed at jokes, then disappeared upstairs and slept for 12 hours. Lisa ate her veggie burger alone on the porch swing, her eyes flicking toward the staircase every few minutes. Zoe's heart ping-ponged between admiration for Jason's work ethic and concern that his body was in the yard, but his mind was already back on set. By 2018, the pace had quickened. Red carpet appearances were no longer occasional treats. They had become obligations. When Momoa finally stepped off a plane, he arrived with an entourage, a stylist, and a to-do list longer than a CVS receipt. Lisa, who had spent years building a life that rejected Hollywood's grind, began to feel like background decor in her own marriage. Tabloids sniffed it out, pairing Jason's name with a rotating cast of 2 friendly co-stars. Zoe had survived enough gossip cycles to ignore most of it, until Lisa stopped ignoring it.
People think we don't care. People think because we're very independent, we're not sensitive, but I feel like we actually are sensitive, but we hide it pretty well.
One midnight kitchen conversation marked a turning point. Over cold jasmine tea, her mother whispered, "I feel invisible." The sentence sliced through the hum of the refrigerator. Zoe wanted to fix it on the spot, buy plane tickets, schedule couples therapy, rearrange shooting dates. But fame isn't a puzzle you solve with a phone call. The machine keeps rolling, and feelings get flattened if no one jumps out of the way. Unverified chatter linked Momoa to on-set confidants whose names Zoe couldn't pronounce without Googling. Meanwhile, Jason privately bristled at Lisa's lifelong closeness with Lenny. He respected the friendship, yet part of him felt like he should be the one in the spotlight. Zoe found herself translating emotions, telling Momoa that his wife missed him without sounding accusatory, reassuring Lisa that red carpet smiles didn't equal betrayal. She even booked a last-minute family retreat to Hawaii, surf lessons by day, bonfires by night. For a moment, it worked. They laughed, toasted marshmallows, and posted a group photo captioned, "Ohana forever." But trust, once it wobbles, develops hairline fractures invisible to the untrained eye. Every new rumor felt sharper, and every absence felt longer. Zoe lay awake one night in her LA apartment, phone glowing with texts from both parents, each venting in their own language, each asking her not to share. She realized she was holding 2 halves of a secret that couldn't be put back together without someone getting hurt. On a cold January evening, Jason and Lisa posted a joint statement about seismic shifts and transformational times. They promised love would evolve in ways it wishes to be known, which sounded poetic until you read between the lines. This fairy tale was over. The internet melted down. Fans formed digital factions. Some blamed Jason's workaholic streak. Others claimed Lisa stifled his ambition. Memes sprouted like weeds. Aquaman swimming away from responsibility. Denise Huxtable serving divorce papers with a side eye. Zoe said nothing publicly. Instead, she drove to her siblings' school, picked them up early, and spent the afternoon binge-watching Avatar: The Last Airbender, her silent protest against the circus outside. At home, she muted her phone and made popcorn while Lola quizzed her about whether divorced parents still attended school plays together. Zoe promised they would. She didn't know if it was true, but sometimes hope is the only currency kids accept. Court papers made it official in January 2024. Joint custody, no spousal support, assets split with the precision of a sushi chef. Lisa retreated into writing, photography, and late-night meditation circles. In a rare interview, she spoke about rediscovering self, hinting that silence can be louder than applause. Jason, meanwhile, went full throttle, filming in Iceland one week, launching an ocean cleanup nonprofit the next. Then came the Instagram bombshell. 5 months after the ink dried, Momoa posted sun-drenched snapshots from Japan with actress Adria Arjona. They were laughing over ramen, posing under neon signs radiating new couple electricity. The comment section detonated. Heart emojis, crying emojis, and accusations of moving on too soon. Zoe scrolled through the chaos, half numb. Part of her was relieved. Final proof that reconciliation was off the table meant she could stop holding her breath. Another part mourned the family portrait that would never be repainted. That same year, an Esquire profile delved into Zoe's past and revealed a confession. She still felt guilty about leaving her mom years earlier to live with Lenny. "I think it was very hurtful," she admitted, acknowledging a wound that never fully healed. Old memories combined with new regrets. Could she have bridged the gap between Lisa and Jason? Did cheering on Momoa's early successes inadvertently push him further from home? She replayed conversations in her mind like a director obsessed with alternate endings. Adding one more layer, her father's permanent VIP pass to family gatherings. Lenny and Jason maintained a bromance so photogenic that it developed its own fan base. But bromances can't always erase ego. Jason respected Lenny, yet sharing holidays with your wife's charismatic ex tends to create subtle tension. Zoe's solution was relentless diplomacy. Separate text threads, carefully balanced holiday schedules, and a house rule that no one speaks for the kids except the kids. By year's end, she felt like the State Department with better outfits. When people ask Zoe for the real tea, she shrugs. The truth, she says, is painfully ordinary. 2 soulmates drifted onto parallel tracks that never crossed back. No explosive affair, no courtroom brawl. Just the slow grind of distance neither could escape. She's chosen graceful neutrality, loving each parent for who they are now, not who they used to be together. Her mantra, borrowed from Lisa's moon phase journals, is simple. Love can change shape without disappearing. She repeats that to Lola and Nakoa Wolf whenever they ask if dad still loves mom. She reminds herself when she wonders whether her own engagement to Channing Tatum can survive Hollywood's time zones and tabloids. She repeats it because sometimes the only way to keep faith in love is to accept that it occasionally outgrows its original container. So where does that leave Hollywood's once golden clan? Lisa is building a quieter, inward-facing life, writing essays about motherhood, capturing black and white photos of desert horizons, and learning that solitude can feel like sunlight when you've spent years under fluorescent studio lights. Jason is juggling blockbusters with environmental crusades, free climbing his way into a future where fame and authenticity might finally coexist. Zoe, ever the bridge, FaceTime her siblings from film sets, hosts Sunday dinners where Lenny brings vegan cupcakes and Jason drops off surf wax, and refuses to let bitterness stain the family tapestry she still cherishes. Their story proves that even picture-perfect romances can fracture, but fractures don't erase history or love. They simply redraw the lines of where that love resides. And maybe that's the secret Hollywood never advertises. The happily ever after isn't always a couple riding into the sunset. Sometimes it's a family learning to stand in the same sunlight, even if they're no longer holding the same hands. Have you ever played peacemaker between people you adore? Share your own stories below, because the comment section might just become someone else's survival guide. And if you want the inside track on the next unbreakable Hollywood couple facing invisible pressure, hit subscribe and ring that bell. The next revelation is closer than you think, and you won't want to miss the moment their fairy tale fractures too.